Hey, welcome to the second episode of my podcast. This is called Mucho Gusto, as we all know. And today we're going to say Mucho Gusto to one of my favorite artists at the moment, Mucho Gusto Rosalia. But first, let's talk about this episode's cover. It's Julia by Ramon Casas from 1915. Julia was the lover of this Spanish and Catalonian artist from the early 20th century. They were basically together, and he was captivated by her defiance and true spirit of being a powerful woman. And I really liked that, and I understood it as very close of what Rosalia's spirit is, you know. They are both Catalonian women, and I can definitely see the element of red being in play. As in Rosalia's music and videos, there's a lot of red, and that's the color we tend to associate with Spain. It uses a lot of bright colors, and just a little hand on the hip, it already communicates who is this person. She's a powerful woman that isn't afraid to show herself and what she has to offer. And I feel that truly relates to Rosalia and what we're going to talk about on this episode. So thank you so much for listening. Remember to follow the pod here in Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're getting your podcast. And check me out on Instagram, which is at DisGusThing and in TikTok, which is at DisGusThing. Thank you so much, and here we go with today's episode. Rosalia, if you don't know, it's an Spanish artist, singer, dancer, producer has really been in the spotlight lately, and she is just one of the best artists I've seen. She just released the album Motomami, and I thought it would be very cool to analyze her evolution and how she has become the person she is right now, as this album can promise a lot of how she's going to adapt to different international music markets and how the people are going to take her into stardom, basically. I mean, she was already star, but you'll see that later. So with all of that, let's say Mucho Gusto Rosalia, because we are talking about her today. Also, I'm using my cell phone as a microphone, so that's why I'm holding it here. For those who are listening, I'm holding it up my face. Because it's really, it's the best thing I can get until now, and it gives amazing audio quality. My encounter with other people who liked Rosalia, it was first with my college friends, but then in the media, I saw Brittany Broski's video about Rosalia, and I was like, oh, she's pretty cool. And I found out myself afterwards, maybe 2019 ish. I listened to all of her albums and all of the eras, as we'll discuss, and I truly fell in love. She just knows how to do incredible stuff. Now I'm going to do like a breakdown of the different eras and of the different albums she has released. The first one is Los Angeles, which she released in 2017. This was her showing to the world that she is someone talented and can do flamenco like none other. In Spain, there's the tradition of flamenco. It's very deeply ingrained on the story of the country and the different regions, because as every country, it has its different parts. And it's like kind of conflictive and somehow still very in conflict right now. So every time someone does flamenco, they have to go through like a very strong judgment of people. And I would say that's one of the key things that Rosalia got since the beginning of her career. She got a lot of criticism, but she is the master of taking that criticism, applying it to herself, and changing it into an even better thing. I would say the first characteristic that you can even realize in the music that she puts out is that she's a perfectionist. However, you would think that this was Rosalia's first time in the public eye, and that would be a lie, because she was already featured in a reality TV show called Tu Si Que Vales, and she was eliminated. Like, she was taken down basically by the judges, telling her that she needed to grow and that she wasn't virtually no one. I would say those judges are lamenting their judging decisions, because Rosalia, she just grew from that. And sometimes as a creative person, you have to feel that. And that's something that many mentors of mine told me, like, you gotta separate yourself from your craft. And it's something that a lot of people say. However, it is the truth after all. Because if you don't do that separation at the beginning, you will always feel that people are judging you directly. And usually what mentors and like people like that do, it's to give you advice on how to be better. But if you keep taking that as critics to yourself, it just breaks you down and takes completely your inspiration and will to create. And Rosalia could have done that. But the interesting thing, she didn't. After Los Angeles, she got nominated for Latin Grammys since her debut album. That's the amount of talent she has. Other thing about Rosalia is that she shows that talent it's not something that people get blessed on with. Our society treats talented people as someone who somehow got the gifts from the gods and got that amazing voice and those amazing dancing skills and her creative eye and stuff like that. All of those things are built upon. Of course, there'll be some natural tendencies in that there's people who have the chance and the willingness to be more sensitive with the arts and other type of creative endeavors. And Rosalia took the time to build those skills up with this album. Los Angeles represents her taking a deep study into flamenco, into her voice as an instrument, and into what she can build upon. And I feel that that creative process is very evident in what you can listen. I would recommend if you want to, and if you like flamenco, or you could just listen to the singles, whatever your heart tells you. But it's definitely a very good and rich album. With that album, she also called the attention of some very famous producers that put her and through her new creative journey that would be El Mal Querer. And as a support of the higher art education, Rosalia's album El Mal Querer, it was her graduation assignment in order to graduate from university. So she really put her work into that, and oh my god, El Mal Querer, it's one of the best albums I have ever listened in my life. Definitely. One of the songs, it's still the most played song of my Spotify life since like 2014, since I've had it. It was so good. El Mal Querer is just like one of those eras that you hold them tightly to your heart because you know that it's such a creative masterpiece and it won't be repeated in any way because it's such a unique concept, such a unique the tastes, the taste, the flavors, it's like, oh, I love El Mal Querer so much, so much. I was trying to get a poster up there of El Mal Querer, but they're kind of expensive and I'm low on funds. Someday I'll have El Mal Querer poster right there in the background. Another one of the things that Rosalia has is that she's very humble. She's a mastermind of her craft, and still she humbles herself every time. She gets this organic behavior all of the times, and this is something that I don't know where I'm going to put it, but she just feels like someone next door, someone that you can just talk with. And I believe that even though she's entering somehow a different kind of creative era, with Motomami, that her third album that we'll talk about it eventually, the fact that she still has her feet on the ground and can just talk as a person, not as a superstar. It's something that really shows and speaks of her character, that she doesn't get fame in her head, definitely. El Mal Querer is based upon a 14th century writing story called Flamenca, which tells us a story about love and treason and the drill love stories. But Rosalia's interpretation of it, it's very centered in woman and how womanhood it's something intense in a love relationship. It really speaks from the heart. The emotions are all there, and I really like that because it's a different take in flamenco. Flamenco is very passionate music, since the beginning, the riffs, the guitar, even the dancing. It's so emotional. And I feel that Rosalia takes that and updates it with El Mal Querer in a way with more influence from hip hop, trap, reggaeton, even. And she takes all of that and creates her own thing. El Mal Querer, it's literally unreplicable because it's the vision and all the knowledge that Rosalia has applied and taken from her career and studies and put into such an amazing product. This video could be called a praise to El Mal Querer, and yeah, because I could talk about it for hours, definitely. Other thing from El Mal Querer, it's that she highlights her voice. Her voice, there's no other. No one that can do it like her. It's just angelical, and that's the main opinion that people have about her. It's that the tones, the mood, everything sets her as the voice of a little angel that can break it down and dance incredibly. And the counterpart of all of this high art music somehow mixes up with the influence of other rhythms that I mentioned before, because Rosalia's overall aesthetic has always been, kind of tacky. That element of what the media calls urban style. And it really comes from the same place as her music. She displays, with this gigantic gold chains and diamonds and stuff, and she talks about her being from a lower income neighborhood at first, and how this shape who she is, which are topics that are also touched in other genres of music, for example hip hop, reggaeton, a lot. And I feel that Rosalia masterfully takes that from her own story and makes us understand her. Like, not as hard as other people have done it, but definitely it's an element that you can tell from her music. It's presented in everything she does, in every runway. And I believe that that's what pushes her into other directions. After El Mal Querer, she had like a little tour in Spain. She has sung upon in the States. She hasn't done Latin America yet, which makes me angry, extremely angry. But somehow, fingers crossed. So my closing thoughts on El Mal Querer, it's that you definitely have to listen it from top to bottom, understand the story, listen to the production, the amount of work into the vocals, into the tiny, tiny details, the sounds of things. I believe that you should play that album, lay down, and just close your eyes and take the ride of your life, because this album is still heavily cinematographical with even the little cards of each song. It's just beautiful, beautiful, amazing. I believe that Rosalia is beginning to be a superstar, because she is a star in Spain, she is a star in some places in the United States, but there's still a lot of people that don't know her. And I believe that that's the last thing. Rosalia's thing is to transform, and she says that in the next song, and that's an incredible segue. Oh my god, I did it so smooth. Ugh. As she sings in Saoko, Yo me transformo. And as I see it, she's taking that and transforming herself into a Latin urban artist, with definitely a touch of Rosalia and all of her previous work. But this is going to be such a great era, because we're going to talk now about Motomami. I believe Motomami, it's going to give us so much of the feeling we had with Con Altura, which was one single that Rosalia released with J Balvin. And it was such a good reggaeton song. I remember dancing it around. I think it went out on 2019. It was such a good dancing and that feeling that you get from party song. I would describe it like that. Motomami, well, in Spanish, moto, in some places, it's how we call to motorbikes, motorcycles. And mami, it's like a mommy. But motomami together gives me the vibes that it's almost like a gang name. Like, she's la mami, which is a very Latin expression in some places to say to someone who is the best at something, or someone who shows off how good they are, or how wealthy they are. So Motomami gives me very urban, as I have described before. But that mixed with Rosalia's level of art creation, I think it's going to give us a banger. Motomami will definitely be charted. It will do great. Like, I'm very excited for its release, which at the time of I'm filming this, it's 5 hours away. So thank God. However, it's definitely a risk. It's definitely a risk for Rosalia to take this decision to go heavily into Latin urban medium, because it won't reach the exact same audience as her previous work has reached. As I said, El Mal Querer has such a strong angelical and deeply flamenco um, feeling, and as people are so strongly opinionated into flamenco and their art, I think Motomami will distance from that. So Rosalia's new album won't be on the same circles as El Mal Querer did. However, she has made a name of herself amongst Spanish speakers and among Latin culture because she has collabed with many people that do urban music. For example, J Balvin, as I mentioned. So she's definitely on the radar, and I think Motomami's singles that we have seen so far, which were Saoko, Chicken Teriyaki, and just a day ago, Hentai, have shown us how diverse this album is going to be. Saoko and Chicken Teriyaki are part of the same universe, definitely. It's that song you listen in the club, or you just listen it while you're in the party and you're just dancing, like dancing off everything. It's that kind of vibe. It's a very, very strongly beat that reminds me of many dancehall and reggaeton songs. Like, oof, it makes you dance, it makes you move around a lot. But I feel Chicken Teriyaki has that Rosalia touch. It really, like the little salt of the meme, because she changes it up around and you can listen like a very interlude of rhythmic uniqueness on it, which makes it such a great experience. I really like it. I really like Chicken Teriyaki. It's like, oof, a good song. But Saoko is very good too. Saoko is very good. So far, Hentai, and I think it was like very controversial with the lyrics at first, as I spoke about it before. Hentai won't be as successful as Chicken Teriyaki or Saoko because it doesn't have that same energy. But still, a very sorrow and intimate song. I really like that because it's the same intimacy that we felt in El Mal Querer and even more in Los Angeles, just a different version of it. I'm so I'm so excited to listen to the rest of this album. Oh my god, please. I'm over the moon. I just want it to be out already. I love it. I love it. I love Rosalia. La Rosalia, it's just amazing. So my closing thoughts. Rosalia is a high level artist, a high level producer, a unique voice, and some building up upon such a culturally rich environment that has given us a once in a lifetime creative individual who has the knowledge and now the opportunities to create some good music. You should definitely listen to her new album and her previous albums, and I love to listen more about what you have to say. So please comment below, send me like a message on Instagram, whatever you feel like it. But let's keep the discussion going about Rosalia and how she is a creative mastermind. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to my podcast, Mucho Gusto. I was Gus, and you can follow up this podcast everywhere you're listening to it. I also have it on YouTube if you want to see my beautiful face. And thank you so much for everything. I'll see you next week, and I hope you hydrate and have an amazing week. Goodbye.